Hey folks, it's comment answering time again, and we're just gonna dive straight in. All right, today on suggestions, we've got Kevin Clements, great viewer of the channel, says definitely react to Home Free's cover of the Ball's signature song, Born USA. Yep, gotcha. I've got that on the list. It will be appearing at some point on the Home Free poll for Patreon. Kevin also says some girls do. That looks like it's going to win the Home Free Patreon poll this week. It's way ahead of everything else right now. Thomas Hayes says you need to check out 22 times Tim Faust went subwoofer mode. I have seen that as a suggestion on YouTube. I have not yet watched that, but I will definitely put that on the list. Lois Marshall says listen to the music. I've actually already done that when our comment monitor must have forgotten or didn't know that or wouldn't be on here. But yeah, I've actually already got listen to the music Home Free. It was the second song I did, and unless it's not, I'm pretty sure we've gotten that one back up, that it's been cleared and put back up. So yeah, that one's out there. Debbie Hall says check out Give Me a Sign and Delta Dawn featuring Brooke Eden. Delta Dawn featuring Brooke Eden I've already done. I guess it's not on YouTube yet. I know we put it on Patreon, but it'll be coming out soon if it's not already up yet. Give Me a Sign is on the Patreon poll, but it has not won yet. Lori Torgo, Lori is another regular viewer of the channel, suggests Home Free End of the Road Boys to Men cover. And Avi does Man of Constant Sorrow with acoustic guitar. Excellent. I'll have to get that one. I'll have to get that one definitely. Appreciate those, Lori. Teresa Cartwright says the song was written early 1900s and later covered by Bob Dylan and Joan Baez, among others. This is Man of Constant Sorrow. I love Home Free's version of it. The singing, harmonies, and beatboxing, and just perfect. In Mayday Live, they all beatbox. Wow, that's great. I hadn't seen that one. I'm not sure if Austin's renditions of Dock of the Bay and Signed, Sealed, Delivered fit what you're looking for. Thanks for playing this and your comments. Thanks, Teresa. I appreciate that. I did not know that Austin did Dock of the Bay or Signed, Sealed, Delivered, and yeah, that's right up my alley. Both of those great songs. I grew up on oldies. I love hearing new renditions of classic stuff from the 50s and 60s, that era that's completely my genre, even though I was born much later than that era. So yeah, I will definitely be checking those out, and I need to react to more of the solo stuff from each member of Home Free, and I just haven't gotten to it yet because we've got so much else to cover on the channel. Rick Condor says if you like Adam's harmonica in this, you should watch Garth Brooks cover Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up. 4 harmonica solos. Nice. All right, I'll put that on the list. Kristen Dunstan says, I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, but their Country Fried Pop melody is really good. Have not seen that one. I don't even think that's been a suggestion, so I'll add that to the list. Anthony Wisecarver on our Chris Stapleton video this week suggests Cold. I have listened to that one, but for some reason I did not see that it was a single, or I probably would have put it on YouTube, but that should be on the Patreon full album reaction. On last week comments video, Kevin again says, thanks, Cole. That same job, I work Wednesday nights at the Miami Beach Convention Center, and this is a follow-up to a comment from last week. And NWA Wrestling from Florida shows every Wednesday night, and I met many of the legends as I always worked the backdoor stage door. Wow. They were always the nicest guys, even the quote-unquote bad guys. So I knew from a teen it was scripted. Excellent. Many of them told me to stay in school and get an education so I didn't have to grow up as wrestlers like them. That's great, man. Great anecdote, Kevin. Thanks for sharing that with us. BJ Speck, another regular viewer of the channel, says, I'm betting that today's court case that had a song that the original artist, apparently there was a profanity here, there were either the original poster bleeped out or a comment monitor did, I'm not sure what it was supposed to be, that his content had been stolen and used by someone else. Jury came back saying not so. That probably freed up a lot of worry that YouTube was chewing on. It was big news today. I was driving to heard the result on NPR this afternoon. Voice Play is dropping a new one today at noon. Yeah, that court case, the Ed Sheeran, Marvin Gaye suit, and again, it wasn't Marvin Gaye's side that was suing, it was the co-writer's estate. That was a big deal, and I really hope that sets the precedent for cases moving forward. Annette Corrado, Annette, another great viewer of the channel, also one of our patrons, says, thanks for the chat. I really enjoy these. Thank you, Annette. I appreciate you watching because, like I said last week, a lot of people don't watch it, or at least don't watch all the way to the end. Our average was 4 minutes for a 34-minute video, and I don't know what last week's was. I haven't looked. Columbe, another regular viewer of the channel, says, fantastic. Thanks, I appreciate that, Columbe. Dagmar S., another great viewer of the channel, says, I really enjoy this format. Nice to know you read all the comments and list our suggestions. Keep up the good work. Glad you're able to appeal the copyright strikes. I apologize. I once again forgot to mute my computer. Got to remember to do that. Thanks, Dagmar. I appreciate that. I'm glad that I'm able to do this and try to get to as many comments as possible. See everybody's suggestions and get those on our Patreon post so we can have more content to react to on the channel. Racing 2 Cat, one of our favorites on the channel, says, we're here for you, Cole. YouTube just needs to get over itself. Do you know if there's any way for viewers to lodge a complaint with YouTube for blocking reactors' videos? More than happy to start a petition if it might help. Cat, P.S. Only 4 minutes? That's crazy. Yeah, 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes, I think, was the average view on our comment video from 2 weeks ago. That was a 34-minute video, so most people don't stay for the whole thing. And I understand that. I mean, we all got things to do. As far as complaining about YouTube, there's not really any recourse, Cat, that I know of. I know Rick Beato, his methodology whenever something like this happens to him is to just go on Twitter and tag the artist, tag the record label, tag whoever he can tag, and get all of his followers to start pestering them and tagging them. And that's worked for him. First of all, we're not on Twitter. Second of all, even if we were, I don't know if it would make any difference because I'm no Rick Beato. So, but there's not really a recourse that I know of for either the content creators or their viewers to get in touch with YouTube or get in touch with the management companies that are wanting these things blocked even when they fall under fair use, unfortunately. Elizabeth Ross, another regular viewer of the channel, says, happy to learn that you're not getting banned yet. Me too, Elizabeth. And nope, you still talk too fast. The southern accent is no problem for me, being a southerner myself. However, I wish more reactors would give us a breakdown like this. It's great to know what's on your mind and where your reactors might be going. I enjoy these fireside chats a lot. Thanks, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. It's funny because there's sometimes my speed of talking fluctuates. I talked about last week about I get off my exercise bike right before I do these, which I actually didn't do today. Hoping maybe that would slow me down a little bit. I don't think it is. I think I'm still talking fast. But if I am super rested and get up and am energized, I talk real fast. Then when I don't get a lot of sleep, I'll be really sluggish and stuttering, stammering. I don't know. It just fluctuates. But I'm trying to rein myself in because I'm feeling like I'm really energized right now. So I'll try to rein that in and go a little slower. And Betos, one of our favorites, also another great patron, says, I think this was all just a setup so he could humble brag about biking 10 miles. Let me reread that because I started breaking up to the end. I think this was all just a setup so he could humble brag about biking 10 miles. Betos, you caught me. That was it. The entire video was just so I get to that point and then drop like, and yeah, you know, I ride 8.5 to 9 miles before I do these videos. No big deal. You got me, Betos. That's great. That's the comment of the week right there. Barbara Kennedy says, wish that too. It would be nice if some of the video song creators could tell us about the process from their end too. Yeah, Barbara, I do too. Barbara's referring to something I said last week that I wish we could see the other end of the YouTube copyright side here. Brenda Sorensen, another great viewer, says, thank you for your answer about 6-time signatures. Pensive is a better word. Now I'm going to make myself crazy trying to identify other songs with 6/8 and whether they sound pensive, especially since I'm not a musician. You're welcome, Brenda. Or, I'm so sorry, Brenda, depending on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that you're going to be doing that from now on. Carol Burnett, great viewer of the channel, says, yay for no copyright strikes. Absolutely. Thanks for doing another one of these. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate it. Lori Torgo, once again, says, so happy all is well. No pun intended. Thanks, Lori. Appreciate that. Ellen Reiser, another great viewer of the channel, also one of our patrons, says, I'm in the EOVC, End of Video Club. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate that. I mentioned last week, those that make it all the way to the end of these videos are upper echelon, cream of the crop viewers here. Karina Rodebach, another great viewer, says, I did stay at the end. Thank you, Karina. I appreciate that. On our home free Man of Constant Sorrow video, Carol says, I don't ever get tired of this one. Honestly, I don't get tired of the majority of their music. Since you're from the South, did making the jaw harp sound not just come naturally? I think every child I grew up with did a passable imitation. It's interesting seeing you react to this after already experiencing Home Free for a while. This is usually the song most reactors start out with. Thanks, Cole. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that. And yeah, I've actually never been able to mimic that sound personally. So it was unique for me. Jill says Home Fries referred to Adam's harmonica as his no-monica. It's featured in a few songs, and we love it. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Elizabeth Ross says this song is very old, originating about 1913 in the Appalachian Mountains. It's been rendered by many artists over time, including Bob Dylan in the 60s and other folk genre artists. It was one of the first folk songs I learned on my new guitar at that time. The Soggy Bottom Boys, of course, did the version that you younger folks know, right? That was my introduction to the song. Here, Home Free is giving it a modern bluegrass sort of style and playing up their southern accents. It shows how tight their harmonies are and how talented each of them are in their own rights. Many reactors don't notice that it's Chance doing the jaw harp, that Tim drops a whole octave at the end of his already low verse. Thoroughly enjoy your reactions always. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. Appreciate all that information. Sandra Macy says, Home Free are just the best. 5 gorgeous talented men. I'm loving your accent, too. Coming from the UK, I don't hear anything like it, but you sound adorable, too. Thank you, Sandra. I appreciate that. And it's funny because I actually love listening to English accents, British accents, really anybody from the British Isles, Irish, Scottish, English, whatever I can get my ears on. Lori Torgo says, best group rendition of this song. Pretty sure I sent you a link to Avi doing this by himself, an acoustic guitar. Yeah, I think we got that one, Lori. Hit some of his highest notes ever, which are amazing, and paired with really low bass tones he's using is wild. Yeah, and that's going on the list. Or I may end up, if that's off of an album and wasn't just a single that he released, I'll probably get to that in one of my Avi album reactions, and I'll put that song on Patreon. Patricia B says this song is a very old American folk song believed to have been created in and around Kentucky and Tennessee. As a folk song, it was shared with others, but the true origin of writer is unknown, but possibly a group created it. Wow, nice. It was old even when a musician, Dan Burnett, decided to put it to paper and publish it in 1913. It has been recorded several times since then by various artists. Personally learned it in grade school in the 1950s in music class. Nice. Grew up in southern Indiana on the Ohio River across from Kentucky. Family members had heard it at fairs and gatherings going back a generation or two. Great information. I appreciate that, Patricia, and also you're sharing some of your personal history with the song. George Fisher says the song, a very old song, was originally called both the Goodbye Song or the Farewell Song. Wow! It is a slave bidding farewell to all he knows and loves before running for freedom on that Northern Railroad. Nice. I did not know that, George. I appreciate that information. On the Geoff Man of Constant Sorrow video, and this was not planned for these two videos to drop back to back, the Man of Constant Sorrow video I had recorded over a month ago. It was managed by, I guess it was either SME or STEM. And unlike the Orchard we found out will respond in about 14 days, 10 to 14 days, and then we appeal, and it sits out there for a week, so it could be anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks before we can get Home Free Orchard material up. But with SME and sometimes with STEM, we have to let them sit out there. So this has been sitting on YouTube for a month. And Geoff's, I had just filmed, I guess, last week or maybe the week before. And I'm able to get the Geoff stuff out more quickly because their content manager releases this stuff fairly quickly. And it just so happened that these came out back-to-back, one on Friday and one on Monday. So it was really great to be able to have these comments back-to-back and people can see compare the different versions and compare my reaction to the different versions and comment on it. Elizabeth Ross says, I always enjoy your videos. Geoff is so good at what he does with creative arrangements that have continued to improve as time passes. Can't wait for your reaction to Home Free's version. We'll be on the lookout for its release. Yeah, that was already released, Elizabeth. If you missed it, I apologize for that. YouTube may not have let you know because they're really bad about that, but it is out there, so go check that out. Pam Forrester says, normally not crazy for this song, but he does well with it. Pam, also another one of our great commenters. I don't think we'd heard from Pam until this one. Normally not crazy for this song, but he does well with it, a lot more so. Appreciate your work, sir. Thank you, Pam. I appreciate you. Alona Dever, another great viewer of the channel, says, always enjoy your reactions, Cole. Funny, though, that you stopped to talk about the similarities to Home Free during original bridge that he wrote. Yeah, I know. I didn't even realize, I thought that it was like, hey, I don't really remember this bridge being like this. Oh, well. And it didn't even register with me. Oh, the reason I don't recognize the bridge is because it's an original bridge. And I think it was Ellen on Patreon pointed out that it was an original bridge. And I hate that I missed it, that I didn't realize that it was original and not in any other version. That section was wonderful. I have never particularly liked the song, but Geoff made it helpful. The back of the picture had a "See You on the Golden Shore" inscribed on the back, and oh my heart, the bouquet of baby's breath that he carried throughout. That was the sweetest, most wistful, hopeful thing I've seen. And the major chord at the end, top of the line. Yeah, it was great version, Alona, and great observations there. Karina Rodabox says this was shot in the same farm as Daddy Sang Bass in Geoff's Country Roads. I believe I already said that at your Trapped in Panic reaction. Yeah. But when I had filmed this, when I had filmed that reaction, the Panic Trapped had not come out, so I had not gotten that comment yet. Same fences in Country Roads, but facing the other direction. The rail and train another place, though. Geoff added a bridge, just as he did to Golden Hour. He said he can't really play guitar, but he has had some trying. And I don't know if that was supposed to be trying or training. People have pointed out that he is doing finger settings for real chords in the video. Yeah, I believe you missed out on his last warning. People being soft and squishy compared to trains. Yeah, I must have missed that. Yeah, it's great information, Karina. I appreciate that. And I need to do Country Roads. I just filmed a reaction to Home Free's Country Roads yesterday, so I may need to put Geoff's version on the next Voice Play / Geoff Patreon. Jillian Drysdale, another great viewer of the channel, says, you missed him saying that trains are hard and we are soft and squishy. It was synthesized instruments. And if he was saying that at the end, I watched all of that, but if I was talking over it, first of all, I usually cut most of the end stuff just for try to keep the video as short as possible for brevity's sake. I do watch it, but sometimes I'll be talking over it, and then that doesn't even make the final cut on YouTube. So I did obviously miss that part somewhere along the line, even though I did play it when I was originally reacting. It was synthesized instruments. He has an Instagram about that. Lane was helping him with this, but he wanted Geoff to film on live tracks. I don't mind that you compare this to Home Free. Their version is also awesome. Hope you feel better soon. Thank you, Jillian. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was when I was sick 2 weeks ago. I'm now good to go. So I appreciate that. Linda Morrow says, great reaction. Others have answered about the shooting location and Lane wanting to film on live tracks. As for the guitar, Geoff has a short on his channel where he talks about the recording plug-in he used to play guitar using a keyboard. Gotcha. Okay, so he's using the keyboard to synthesize. I got you. I see what he's doing there. Alex Walker says, 5 Geoffs, but who's counting right? That was amazing. Yes, right. What? Yeah. Patricia Schumann says, as others have mentioned, the track he was walking down was in a different location from where the old locomotive was, and both were far away from where the Leaning on the Fence quartet was filmed. Funny story about that locomotive. In the behind-the-scenes video we got, Geoff said that although there are, of course, trains still running in Florida, a lot of lines were abandoned and the tracks torn up, and those former tracks have been repurposed into walking nature trails. Nice. Where the locomotive was, however, someone either didn't get the memo or just wasn't thinking straight. They seemed to have forgotten that they needed to get the locomotive moved before they tore the tracks away in front and behind of the locomotive. So it's just sitting there, sitting on a tiny piece of track, not connected to anything, and is slowly decaying away since there's no way to get it out of there now. Wow. Bunch of old buildings around it also. I'm sure they include what was the station / depot and some additional railroad buildings. Fantastic information, Patricia. Thank you so much for that. Fascinating. Shirley Carr, another great viewer of the channel, says, as often as you need to stop the video, I was surprised and disappointed that you talked over the bridge. Geoff wrote rather than acknowledge it or listen to it. Hope you feel better soon. Yep. Again, Shirley, I did not. It didn't register with me that this wasn't something that this wasn't in other versions of the song, even though I just got through listening to the Home Free version. Clearly that wasn't in there. The Soggy Bottom Boys version doesn't have it in there, and I'll just blame it on the virus. How about that? Blame it on the virus. Then I have to take no personal responsibility for it. No, I'm just kidding. On the Chris Stapleton video, this was, let's see, what song was this? You Should Probably Leave, which I really liked. Thought it was a great track. Southern Rebel says, just subscribe. Thank you, Southern Rebel. Appreciate that. Thanks for a great reaction. Chris is so much better live. He and his wife performed this live at the CMAs. I think last year he just adds so much more live performances. He lets it rip live. Yeah, I've heard some of his live stuff and just spectacular. Christina says they've been singing this one for a long time, and it's a favorite of Morgane's. She wanted it on an album, and they tried before, but it just hadn't worked. This time, the stars just aligned or something, and it worked, in quotes. Morgane loving it is why it's on the album. Yeah, I thought that was one of his best songs that I've heard so far. Pam Forrester says, wow, Chris is a complete package of soul. Even looks like Central Casting Soul, 100%. This song is absolutely one of my new favorites of his. Thank you for the video and commentary. Thank you as always, Pam. I appreciate that. On our John Fogerty video, Pam says, love Centerfield. That whole album was worn out in my house. I agree about Old Man Down the Road and John aging his political songs. He was a rare bird to step into that arena and still have fans on both sides of the fence because of his pure talent. So true. I saw it in my own family. Exactly. Again, I feel older than dirt, but it's okay if I remember these originals with so much happiness. He does age well musically. Great comment, Pam. Appreciate that, and I agree 100%. Dagmar says, I'm a huge CCR fan. My husband and I had a lot of their records, and I think John Fogerty has one of the most unique voices around besides being a great songwriter. 100% agree with that. Enjoyed his solo stuff, too, afterwards. This compilation was interesting, even though I don't agree with all the songs picked. But that is subjective, 100%. My favorites from this list are Centerfield, Old Man Down the Road, Jambalaya on the Bayou, Premonition, Almost Saturday Night. Great list. And let's see, I think that's probably my 5 off there. Well, Rockin' All Over the World, I would add that on there. So I would probably replace Almost Saturday Night for Rockin' All Over the World in my personal 5 favorite off that list. Yeah, great comment, Dagmar. Appreciate that. Cynthia Miller says Centerfield's a great song. My kids loved it when they were little in the 80s. Number one for sure, and we were big Cubs fans. Yeah, it's great, even though I do have my 80s quibbles. And B-Dubs, if you're watching this, I promise I will slack off on the 80s 8. Promise. I'll try my best anyway. Sue B says John Fogerty equals one of a kind. Absolutely. Wish I said this in some John Fogerty video. I don't know if it was this one or another one that I've done that hasn't come out yet. But if somebody can find somebody or know somebody that sounds anywhere close to John Fogerty, please let me know, because I have never found anybody that even comes close, and I would love to. I'd love to find somebody just even in somewhere in the ballpark of John in terms of vocals, songwriting, style, the whole package, and I haven't done it. On our fair use video, it's the old fair use video, DTA, another regular viewer of the channel, says, thanks for the detailed explanation. I see that your reaction to My Mother Told Me is available on your channel as of today, 5/12/23, so I'm assuming your appeal was successful. Yes, I'm curious whether you ever found out what was up with the second claimant, S71NA Sounds. Okay, so yeah, DTA, I don't know if you watched these videos, but I've gone over that in some of these comment answer videos. Apparently, S71NA Sounds, that's the regular manager for voice play and Geoff's content, and they are great about releasing within a couple of weeks after we post the video. TuneCore somehow, which is a distributor, somehow was involved in the distribution or the management on YouTube of this song. I don't know how, don't know why, but TuneCore denied our fair use claim, so we had to appeal, and then after we appealed, almost immediately it got released by S71NA Sounds, but not TuneCore. TuneCore is like just out of the picture completely. So I don't know what happened. I really don't, and I know one of our viewers actually contacted or got word to VoicePlay's management team about this, and they may have had something to do with this. I don't know, but I really have no idea why TuneCore was involved and S71NA Sounds was involved. TuneCore rejected the fair use, and then S71NA Sounds accepted the appeal. I don't know. I really don't know what happened there. On Bruce Hungry Heart video, Mike Bigbeard says, if I recall the story correctly, Bruce was going to give this song away or sell it. He didn't write it with himself in mind. Steve Van Zandt and his manager convinced him to keep it. Yeah, I think one of our patrons mentioned something about that. He'd written that for somebody else. I can't even remember who it was now that he had written that for. And on our Gordon Lightfoot video, Brody says, cheers from a removed Wesson, Brookhaven, Mississippi boy. That is great. Thank you, Brody. I appreciate that. This is really the hub of Southwest Mississippi. Well, Brookhaven and Macomb both are kind of the metropolises, if you will, Southwest Mississippi, and that's where anything music goes on. That's where, if you want to go to the movies, you got to go to Brookhaven. If you want to go out somewhere to eat, you got to go to Brookhaven or Macomb. And this, Weston is right there next to Brookhaven, so I'm very familiar with this area. Nice to have somebody that's formerly from the area watching the channel. I appreciate that, and thank you for letting me know, Brody. Absolutely. That was a great closing comment there. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you're still enjoying this. Once again, thanks to the elite clubbers who have made it here. Let's see, what did Ellen call the club here? End of video club. There you go. For all of the end of video clubbers, thank y'all so much. Thanks for all the likes, all the comments, subscribing to the channel, all the views, those who have supported us on Patreon. We appreciate everything y'all have done so much, and hope to see y'all soon. We've got another home free up tomorrow. I can't remember which one now is going to drop, but stay tuned for that. We'll have a voice play Monday and some other great content coming up next week. So stick around, and we'll see you soon.